Your grandmother told you cracking your knuckles would give you arthritis. Your teacher told you it was bad for your joints. And that satisfying pop, everyone assumes you're grinding bones together. They're all wrong. What actually happens when you crack your knuckles involves dissolved gas, a tiny implosion, and a physics phenomenon so powerful it can destroy ship propellers and shatter glass. It's called cavitation, and it's happening right now, inside the fluid between your bones. Let's look at what's actually inside the joint you're cracking. Your knuckle, technically called a metacarpophalangeal joint, is where two bones meet. Those bone ends are covered in smooth cartilage and enclosed in a sealed capsule made of tough connective tissue. Inside that sealed capsule is a thick, clear liquid called synovial fluid. Think of it as biological WD-40. It lubricates the joint, reduces friction, nourishes the cartilage, and acts as a shock absorber. Here's the key detail. Like any liquid, synovial fluid contains dissolved gases, mostly nitrogen, carbon dioxide, and oxygen. Under normal pressure, those gases stay dissolved in the fluid, just like carbon dioxide stays dissolved in an unopened soda bottle. But when you change the pressure, things get interesting. When you pull, bend, or twist your finger to crack it, you're stretching the joint capsule. This increases the volume inside the capsule, which drops the internal pressure. When the pressure drops low enough, the dissolved gases can no longer stay in solution. They rapidly form a gas-filled cavity, a bubble, inside the synovial fluid. This process is called tribonucleation, the rapid separation of two surfaces with fluid between them, creating a low-pressure void. The formation of this bubble happens in milliseconds, and it produces the audible crack. Now, scientists have actually debated for decades whether the sound comes from the bubble forming or from the bubble collapsing. In 2015, a team at the University of Alberta used real-time MRI to watch knuckle cracking as it happened. They captured the exact moment of the pop and confirmed that the sound lines up with the bubble's formation, the sudden creation of the cavity, not its destruction. But here's where it gets even more interesting. A 2018 mathematical model from a French research team showed that the sound levels observed during knuckle cracking, up to 83 decibels, are actually consistent with a partial collapse of the bubble. So the full picture may involve both. The bubble forms rapidly, partially collapses, and both events contribute to the sound. Ever notice you can't crack the same knuckle twice in a row? There's a reason for that. After the cavitation event, that gas bubble persists inside the joint for about 20 to 30 minutes. During this refractory period, the gas slowly redissolves back into the synovial fluid. Until the gas is fully reabsorbed, the conditions for creating another cavitation event can't be met. It's exactly like a soda bottle. Once you open it and let the fizz out, you can't put the cap back on and immediately get the same explosive release. The gas needs time to redissolve. This is also why some people can crack certain joints more easily than others. It comes down to joint laxity, how loose or tight your joint capsule is. Looser capsules stretch more easily, creating a bigger pressure drop, which means easier cavitation. Now, the big question. Does cracking your knuckles cause arthritis? No. This has been studied repeatedly. A 2011 study examined hand x-rays from 215 people aged 50 to 89, comparing habitual knuckle crackers to non-crackers. The result? No significant difference in arthritis rates between the two groups. But the most famous piece of evidence comes from a doctor named Donald Unger. For over 60 years, he cracked the knuckles on his left hand every single day, and never cracked the knuckles on his right hand. At the end of the experiment, neither hand showed any sign of arthritis. He published his findings and won the Ig Nobel Prize in Medicine in 2009, a real award for unusual but legitimate scientific contributions. The reason cracking doesn't cause arthritis is simple. Cavitation involves gas bubbles and fluid, not cartilage damage. The popping sound isn't bones grinding together, it's gas physics. Nothing in the joint structure is being worn down. That said, some studies suggest that chronic aggressive cracking might reduce grip strength slightly over time or cause minor soft tissue swelling. But arthritis? The evidence simply isn't there. Here's the mind-blowing connection. The same cavitation process that pops your knuckles also destroys ship propellers. When a propeller spins fast enough, it creates zones of extremely low pressure in the water. Gas bubbles form in those zones and then violently collapse as the pressure equalizes. Each collapse creates a tiny shock wave, and over time, thousands of these micro explosions pit and erode the metal surface of the propeller. Cavitation is also what happens inside the mantis shrimp's punch. This creature strikes so fast, accelerating its club at over 10,000 jams, that the movement creates cavitation bubbles in the water between its fist and its prey. When those bubbles collapse, they generate a secondary shockwave that can stun or kill prey, even if the punch itself misses. Your knuckles, ship propellers, and the deadliest punch in the animal kingdom, all powered by the same physics. So the next time someone tells you cracking your knuckles is bad for you, you can tell them it's the same physics that powers a 10,000 G underwater punch. And 60 years of daily cracking proved it causes zero arthritis. You're watching How It Actually Works. If this blew your mind, hit subscribe, because next week we're answering a question you've wondered about every time you look up at the sky. Why do planes leave white trails behind them?